All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. I'm gonna make a video later. I've this week's crazy because of Christmas. They've got us working every day. I have to work 6 days straight, so it's a bit rough to make a video. Plus, the old truck broke down. Thermostat went out, so I had to replace that, and I went ahead and changed the oil. So I am going to make a video, and a lot of the numbers that I'm seeing are pointing at Christmas, Hanukkah. So it'll be very interesting to see. I'm going to put the video together with all the numbers and everything. So here we go. It looks like it's Christmas. Keep in mind the year and 10 days that Noah spent on the ark. God gave mankind 6,000 years, and his punishment was to till the ground, weeds grow up. And during that period of time, man could not do that. So I forget the name of the channel. I'll present that when I make the actual video and all the timelines that I'm looking at. Uh, but we have to account for that year and 10 days. We also have to account for the fact that God changed the head of the year by 6 months. Here we are, for example, not the year, but 5785. It becomes 5785 in September. We roll around to March, and God comes to Moses and said, "This now is the head of your year." At that moment, it became 5786. Again, just the number, not the number. Just using it for an example. 5786. So 6 months we have to deal with another 6 months. So when you add those two together and you look at stellar, it would be 555 days, not inclusive, 556 days inclusive. And if you look at the Gregorian or solar, you would see 557 days. So when I do the math from all of that and Christmas going forward, backward, counting the 6,000 years, I think the 6,000 years are referring to the bride, and the 2,000 years since Christ is referring to the saints, and the Jews are referred to from 1948. I think we have three different counts going on. That dawned on me. I was trying to make all three line up on timelines, and it wouldn't. I couldn't make it happen. And then it dawns on me: these three counts are for three different groups of people. The first count, being the bride, would be 6,000 years. So I'm going to get into all that in a video tomorrow. I just don't have time. I got to close tonight, and then first thing in the morning, I got to get up and open. So after work, depending on my schedule the next day, I should be able to make this video. I really think that with what we're seeing with these things in the sky, I think first of all, we're dealing with fallen angels. I think we're dealing with angels up there that are fighting against fallen angels. And I think we're dealing with our own drones up there trying to figure out what's going on up there. And everybody's pointing the finger at everybody else, trying to figure out who's to blame for all this stuff when ultimately they cannot be revealed. We cannot ultimately know who they are. They will not, cannot be revealed until we're gone. So they're going to stay up there or in the oceans or wherever they go, but they are not going to settle down and reveal themselves to mankind. It is going to be quite the event as soon as the rapture occurs, where these things settle down and tell everybody, you weren't created. We seeded this planet thousands of years ago, and you're the product of this evolution that we seeded on this planet. And the whole thing's been set up since we were in school, telling us that the Earth is billions of years old and all this crazy stuff, not taking into account that God created everything. So we're going to look at the numbers. If any of you are mathematical, just think about what I said as far as the 6,000 years, the 2,000 years, and the 80 years or 70 years, the time from Israel becoming a nation in 1948 as three different counts. And our count works out perfectly to Christmas, and I'll show that again tomorrow in a video. But remember those 555 days, 557 days that we have to account for as the punishment of mankind being on this earth tilling the ground. We weren't tilling the ground. Noah wasn't tilling the ground. We was up in that ark. He immediately did when he got off the ark and unloaded it. He immediately began to plant seeds so he could have food. So all of that took place, and then of course we can never. It's so subtle. It's just so subtle. This now is ahead of your year. It was so subtle, but it was huge. It was huge, and we have to take that into account for everything that we are figuring out. And when do I think the 555 days? God could have implemented that at any time, but I don't think He implemented it until after 1948. I think that we went forward, and then God said, "All right, now we have to take into account those 555 days. It doesn't matter when exactly between 1948 and now that He did it, but He did do it, implemented those 555 days, which is why we see what we understand, and it's hard to figure out. Though it tarry, wait for it; it will not tarry. It never tarried. There was a specific amount of time that God had said that mankind had to be tilling the ground on this earth, and it didn't happen for 555 days. So it didn't tarry. But though it does appear to tarry, it doesn't actually tarry. So all you that are into math and timelines and everything, take a look at that 555 days. See if you see what I'm seeing from Christmas Day for the bride. And then that math would have to be done, the 6,000 year math would have to be done from when man was created. I show it as September the 16th. So from that date, if you do your math, it really begins to blow your mind. And then, of course, for the 2,000 years, it would have to be done from when Jesus went to the cross on March 30th. I haven't done that math. And then for Israel, for the Jew, it would have to be done from when they became a nation in 1948. And you would have to add those 555 days. And I think if we do that, we're going to see this rapture, the tribulation saints, and the time of Israel going into the millennium play out perfectly on a timeline. It'll all work out perfectly, I believe. So, anyway, let me get off here. I'm almost at work, and I will chat with you again tomorrow. Oops, did that wrong.